Hong Kong wants to attract businesses, investment, talent.
Solidify their position as a global leader.
Exactly. And China's tech supply chain wants easier access to capital, streamlined operations, global reach.
And RWA can help them achieve all of that.
It's the bridge that connects those two worlds.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're diving deep into real-world assets.
RWAs.
RWAs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a hot topic, especially in Singapore and Hong Kong.
Yeah, definitely a lot of buzz around it.
And we're using this great source, Singapore and Hong Kong, real-world asset, RWA organizations.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
To kind of guide our exploration.
It's awesome.
So this is going to be really relevant for folks in the breakpoints communities.
Oh, sure.
And for those BPDAO clients.
Absolutely.
Who are, thinking about RWA solutions.
Right, right.
But before we get into like the specifics of those two places, can we just kind of level set?
Sure.
What does RWA actually mean?
Okay, so think about it like this.
Right.
You have these valuable assets, right?
Mm.
Real estate, company shares, maybe even fine art.
Okay.
Traditionally, trading these things has been a nightmare.
Yeah, so much paperwork.
Paperwork, middlemen, delays, it's a headache.
Mm-hmm.
But RWA, it aims to fix that. Using blockchain technology, which is basically like a secure digital record.
Like a digital ledger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To turn these assets into digital tokens.
So instead of like a deed to a property,
right,
you'd have a token.
You got it. A digital token representing your ownership.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this has huge implications, especially for growing economies like China, Singapore, and Hong Kong.
In what way?
Well, suddenly these assets become so much easier to trade.
Okay.
That's what we call increased liquidity.
Makes sense.
And you can even split ownership into smaller chunks.
Like fractional ownership.
Exactly, yeah.
So it opens it up to more people.
Exactly, to a wider audience, more opportunities.
I see. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Our source also mentioned something about China's digital currency.
Oh, the digital yuan.
Right. Does that kind of like clash with RWA or?
That's a great question, and it really highlights how different players approach this.
Okay.
So China's digital yuan, it's government-backed. It's aimed at making domestic payments smoother.
Okay.
RWA uses simile tech, blockchain, but it focuses on tokenizing all sorts of assets for trading and investment.
Okay.
And it often crosses borders.
I see.
So think of them as different tools.
Different tools for different jobs.
Exactly, within a financial system that's changing rapidly.
So not rivals.
Not necessarily, no.
But more like?
More like different pieces of a puzzle.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's fascinating to see how they all fit together, especially in places like Singapore and Hong Kong.
Right.
They're really positioning themselves as RWA hubs.
They are, and our source actually points out a lot of these companies.
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
Leading this RWA charge.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we even begin?
Well, in Singapore, you've got players like InvestX, ADDX, and MarketNode.
Okay, so let's start with InvestX.
Sure, they're interesting.
What do they do?
They built this platform for issuing, trading, even storing RWA tokens.
Wow, the whole package.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're not just focused on the tech.
Right.
They actually secured regulatory approvals.
Oh, so they're playing by the rules.
Big time. And that makes them attractive to those bigger investors and institutions.
Makes sense. What about ADDX?
ADDX, they're all about fractional ownership.
Right, making it accessible.
Exactly. Letting people buy smaller pieces of large assets like private equity or real estate.
Okay, that's huge.
It is. It opens up so many doors for people who don't have millions lying around.
Right.
And then there's MarketNode.
Okay, what's their deal?
They're a joint venture, Singapore Exchange, and Temasek.
Big players.
Yeah, and their focus is on building the infrastructure for a regulated digital asset ecosystem.
So like laying the groundwork.
Yeah, like building the foundation for a whole new financial district, but digital.
That's a great analogy.
So yeah, Singapore's got a lot going on.
They do. So what about Hong Kong?
Hong Kong's playing a different game.
Oh, how's
Their goal is to become the go-to hub for China's tech supply chain financing. And RWA is a big part of that vision.
Okay.
We're seeing organizations like Ant Digital, Waylab Bank.
Ant Digital, that's a big name, right?
Yeah, part of the Ant Group.
What are they doing in this space?
They've been busy.
Oh.
They've already tokenized electric vehicle charging stations in mainland China.
Wow.
And they were part of a massive cross-border RWA financing deal.
How massive are we talking?
A billion RMB.
Oh, that's serious.
Yeah, no kidding, shows real commitment to RWA.
Yeah.
Then you have Waylab Bank.
Okay.
They're focused on using RWA to help small and medium-sized enterprises get financing.
Which are vital for Hong Kong's economy.
Exactly. It's like they're boosting the financial ecosystem from the ground up.
Interesting approach.
And then you have the Hong Kong Monetary Authority.
Okay, what are they up to?
They're exploring RWA for green finance, you know.
Tying it into their sustainability goals.
Exactly. It's a multi-pronged approach.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, using RWA to tackle all sorts of challenges.
So we've got Singapore and Hong Kong, both all in on RWA, but going about it differently.
Totally different strategies, yeah.
And this is good, right? Like this competition.
Yeah, competition drives innovation.
Right.
Benefits the entire RWA ecosystem in the end.
That's fascinating. So we have these two cities, both kind of, vying for dominance in this space.
It's an exciting race to watch.
It is, but for our listeners, especially those in the breakpoints communities and those BPDAO clients who are looking at these RWA solutions,
Right.
why should they care about all of this?
Well, for one, it signals a huge shift, like a seismic shift in the financial landscape.
Okay.
The old ways of investing, of doing business, they're being challenged, and these changes are happening right here, right now.
So you got to pay attention.
You have to, otherwise you risk getting left behind.
Yeah, ignorance is not bliss in this case.
Definitely not. This is about understanding the future of finance.
Right.
And it's not just about understanding, it's about opportunity. RWA is creating entirely new markets, new ways to invest, new ways to grow businesses.
I see the potential, but it still feels a bit abstract.
Okay, I get it.
Can you give us a concrete example
Yeah.
of how this could benefit someone, in the breakpoints community?
Okay, so let's say you're a BPDAO client and you want to invest in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, you need a ton of capital just to buy a tiny piece of property.
Right.
With RWA, that same property can be split into tokens fractionalized.
Okay.
So you can invest a much smaller amount.
And still benefit from its potential growth.
Exactly. It's like buying a slice of a pie instead of the whole thing.
I like that analogy.
And because those tokens are traded on a digital platform, it's so much easier to buy and sell.
Give you more control.
Exactly. More flexibility, more control.
That sounds great.
It is pretty compelling.
But there are risks, right?
Of course, there are always risks with any investment.
Sure.
RWA is no different, but the frameworks being put in place in Singapore and Hong Kong, they're designed to mitigate these risks.
Okay.
They offer a level of security that you don't always see in more volatile markets.
So it's not a complete free-for-all.
No, not at all.
It's regulated, there are safeguards.
Exactly, which is why it's so attractive to investors and businesses looking for stability and growth.
Okay, that's starting to make sense.
Good.
So we have like this basic understanding now of what RWA is and how it works.
Yeah,
And we've got a sense of how Singapore and Hong Kong are leading the charge.
for sure.
But what about this ambition of Hong Kong's,
To become the financial hub, yeah.
for China's tech supply chain? How does RWA play into that?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Imagine a tech startup in Shenzhen needs funding to grow.
Okay.
Traditionally, lots of hurdles. Paperwork, middlemen, delays.
Right, the usual suspects.
But with RWA, they could tokenize their assets.
Like what kind of assets?
Maybe future revenue streams or even intellectual property.
Okay.
And then issue security tokens.
So instead of going to a bank, they could raise capital directly from investors.
Exactly. Investors who believe in their product and their vision.
I see.
And these tokens could be traded on a regulated platform in Hong Kong.
So attracting global investors.
Exactly. Anyone who wants to invest.
Wow, that's incredibly efficient.
It is. It streamlines the whole process.
But wouldn't that cut out traditional banks?
It might change their role, but they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Many banks are actually exploring how to integrate RWA into their services.
Like offering tokenization platform.
Exactly, or custodial services for digital assets.
So adapting, not resisting.
Precisely. It's about evolving with the landscape,
Right.
not trying to hold on to the old ways.
So it's about integrating these new tools and technologies into the existing system.
Exactly. That's what makes this RWA revolution so fascinating. It's not about throwing everything out and starting over.
It's about evolution.
It's about evolving, adapting, creating a more efficient, inclusive, and dynamic financial system. It's an exciting time to be in finance.
It is. It really is.
Lots of possibilities.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture now.
Great.
But let's zoom in on Hong Kong specifically.
Okay. Sure.
Our source mentioned their ambition to be that financial hub for China's tech supply chain.
Yes, a very ambitious goal.
And they want to use RWA to do it.
It's a key part of their strategy.
But how would that actually work in practice?
Okay, so picture this. A smartphone manufacturer in Shenzhen
Okay.
needs to buy components from a supplier in Guangzhou.
Hmm.
Traditionally, that means letters of credit, invoices, back and forth with banks.
Well, lots of paperwork.
Tons of it. It's slow, it's costly, and it's prone to errors.
Not exactly the ideal scenario,
No, not it.
especially for a globalized supply chain.
Right, you need things to flow smoothly.
Exactly.
But with RWA, those components could be represented by digital tokens.
Okay.
And the whole transaction could happen on a blockchain platform in Hong Kong.
So cutting out a lot of the middlemen and the paperwork. So faster payments.
Faster payments, less paperwork, more transparency.
That's amazing.
It's like taking a clunky paper-based system and transforming it into a streamlined digital process.
I like that. It's a good visual.
And that efficiency has a ripple effect throughout the whole supply chain.
So it benefits everyone.
Businesses, consumers, everyone involved.
Less cost, faster delivery.
It's a win-win situation.
Sounds good to me. But are companies ready for this kind of change?
It's a journey, for sure, not an overnight switch.
Right.
But we're already seeing companies, especially tech companies, experimenting with blockchain and RWA.
They're the early adopters.
They are, and the Hong Kong government is actively promoting these technologies.
So they're creating a supportive environment.
Exactly. They're really pushing for this vision to become a reality.
So they're putting their money where their mouth is.
They are. For them, it's about more than just staying competitive.
Okay.
It's about being a leader in the future of finance.
I see. So there's a lot at stake here.
There is. It's a high-stakes game.
Okay, so we've got this picture of how RWA could transform supply chain finance. But what about jobs?
Ah, yes. The job.
For our listeners, especially those in the breakpoints communities
Right?
and BPDAO clients who are maybe thinking about a career change,
Absolutely.
what's in it for them?
RWA is creating a ton of new job opportunities.
Okay, I'm all ears.
As this technology takes root, we're going to need people who understand both traditional finance
Okay.
and the intricacies of blockchain, tokenization, smart contracts.
So like a hybrid professional.
Exactly. A new breed of financial professional.
What kind of specific roles are we talking about?
Well, on the technical side, blockchain developers are going to be in high demand.
So if you can code and you love blockchain.
They're golden.
Yeah.
Got it.
But it's more than just coding.
Okay.
You need people who understand tokenization.
Right. How to represent these assets digitally.
Exactly. And how to make sure those tokens are secure and compliant.
That sounds pretty specialized.
It is. And that's where the opportunity lies. Makes sense.
Then you have smart contracts.
Right. The self-executing contracts.
Exactly. You need people who can write them, audit them, make sure they work perfectly.
Because any mistake could be costly.
Big time. It's a high-stakes job.
So you need to be very precise.
Absolutely. Detail-oriented, meticulous.
Okay, so we've got the tech side covered.
Mm-hmm.
What about the analytical side?
Ah, yes. You'll need data scientists and analysts.
People who can crunch the numbers.
Exactly. Understand the risks, help investors make smart decisions.
RWA generates a lot of data, right?
Tons of it, and you need people who can make sense of it all.
It's not just about the tech then. It's about understanding the finance too.
It's both. You need that hybrid skill set.
Okay, and what about compliance?
Compliance is huge.
With all the new regulations and stuff.
Exactly. You need experts who can navigate that legal landscape.
So lawyers aren't going anywhere.
Nope, they're more important than ever.
Okay, so we've got the techies, the analysts, the lawyers.
It's a diverse field.
Anyone else jumping into this pool?
Think about it. As more assets get tokenized, you'll need specialists who understand those specific asset classes.
Oh, so real estate experts?
Real estate experts, art historians, sustainability consultants, you name it.
Taking their existing expertise and applying it to this digital world.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable, learning new skills, bridging the gap between traditional industries and this RWA ecosystem.
This is great for our listeners who are looking to upskill themselves.
Absolutely. A great opportunity to get ahead of the curve.
And it's not just about the skills, right? It's about the mindset.
You got it.
Being adaptable, comfortable with change.
The RWA world is constantly changing.
So you got to be comfortable with the unknown.
Exactly. Embrace the ambiguity. Be a pioneer.
That's exciting, though.
It is. It's a chance to be part of something truly groundbreaking.
To shape the future.
Exactly. Shape the future of finance and contribute to the growth of a global financial hub right here in Hong Kong.
That's amazing.
It is. It's a pretty incredible time to be involved in this space.
So we have this clear picture now of the potential job market
Lots of opportunity.
around RWA in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
It sounds like there's something for everyone.
There really is, from tech to finance and everything in between.
Okay, so let's get back to this ambition of Hong Kong's.
To become that financial hub.
Yeah, for China's tech supply chain. We've talked about the benefits of RWA.
The efficiency, the transparency.
But how could it actually help Hong Kong achieve this goal?
It's about creating a win-win.
For both sides.
Exactly. For Hong Kong, it's about attracting businesses, investment, and talent.
Solidifying their position.
Yeah, as a global leader in finance.
And for China's tech supply chain.
It's about easier access to capital, streamlined operations.
And global reach.
Exactly. RWA can help them achieve all of that.
So it's a symbiotic relationship.
It is. Both sides benefit from the adoption of RWA.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Hong Kong is already well positioned for this.
How so?
They have a strong financial infrastructure, a solid legal system.
And a good reputation for being business-friendly.
It's all there, and then you add RWA on top of that.
And you have this recipe for a truly dynamic and innovative ecosystem.
Exactly, one that's tailored to the needs of the tech industry.
Okay, I'm following you.
Good.
Our source mentioned a specific example of how RWA could transform supply chain finance.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Can you walk us through it?
Sure, let's imagine a small tech startup in Shenzhen.
Okay.
They've developed this amazing new component for electric vehicles,
Okay.
but they need funding to scale up production.
The classic problem for startups.
It is, and traditional financing methods are just too slow.
So they turn to RWA.
Exactly, they could tokenize their inventory, maybe even future purchase orders,
Well,
and then issue security tokens representing those assets.
so they can raise capital directly from investors who are excited about this new component.
Exactly, investors who want to be part of the electric vehicle revolution.
And those tokens could be traded on a regulated platform in Hong Kong.
That's right, attracting investors from all over the world.
So it's a much more agile and efficient way to connect investors with businesses.
It is. It cuts out so much of the red tape and the delays.
And it's all transparent on the blockchain.
Transparency and traceability are key.
So investors can be more confident.
Exactly. They can see where their money is going and how it's being used.
This is really impressive.
It is. And this increased access to capital can fuel so much innovation and growth.
And ultimately strengthen Hong Kong's position.
It's all connected.
So it sounds like RWA has the potential to be a game changer.
It does. It really does.
But what about the challenges?
Of course, there are always challenges.
Our source mentioned some potential roadblocks.
Like
things that could impact the RWA landscape.
Well, one challenge is regulatory harmonization.
Okay.
Singapore and Hong Kong are both developing frameworks for RWA.
Right.
But we need to make sure they're consistent and interoperable.
So it can't just be a regional thing.
Exactly. We need a global approach.
Otherwise, you get these fragmented markets.
Exactly. And that could hinder the growth of RWA globally.
I see.
Another challenge is cybersecurity.
Right. With everything moving onto the blockchain.
It's a prime target for hackers.
So security is paramount.
Absolutely. We need robust measures to protect investors and maintain trust in the system.
And what about talent?
That's another big one.
Finding people with the right skills.
We've talked about all these new jobs,
Right.
but finding people to fill them is going to be a challenge.
Well, Hong Kong needs to attract global talent.
They do, and that means investing in education and training.
And creating a welcoming environment.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted challenge.
So it sounds like Hong Kong has its work cut out for it.
They do, but the potential rewards are huge.
If they can get it right.
It's a gamble worth taking.
It does seem like it.
It's a chance to be at the forefront of this financial revolution.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too. It's going to be an interesting journey.
So we've focused a lot on Singapore and Hong Kong. But this RWA technology,
It has global implications.
it could impact the whole financial system.
Absolutely. It goes way beyond just these two cities.
Imagine a world where any asset can be tokenized.
Anything. Real estate, art, intellectual property, carbon credits.
It's like a whole new digital economy.
Exactly. Built on blockchain and RWA.
That's incredible.
It has the potential to democratize investment, reduce friction in global trade, empower individuals and businesses.
But it raises a lot of questions too.
Of course, any new technology does.
How do we ensure this digital economy is inclusive?
That's a crucial question.
How do we navigate the ethical considerations?
We need to have those conversations.
And the risks?
Risk management is key.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but the potential benefits are enormous.
Okay, we've covered a lot today.
We have. It's a complex topic.
From the basics of RWA to its potential impact on the global financial system.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's important to stay informed, to be aware of these changes that are happening.
So before we move on, I just want to make sure our listeners, those in the breakpoints communities
Right.
and the PPDAO clients who are thinking about RWA solutions have a clear understanding of the key takeaways.
Okay, good idea.
Could you just summarize the most important points?
Sure. First and foremost, RWA is not just a buzzword.
It's a real thing.
It's a fundamental shift in how we think about assets and finance.
Okay.
It has the potential to create new markets, new opportunities, new ways of doing business.
This is not just hype.
No, it's about real-world impact.
Right.
Second, Singapore and Hong Kong are leading the way in Asia, but with different approaches.
Singapore is focused on building that regulated ecosystem.
Exactly, and Hong Kong is using RWA to become a hub for China's tech supply chain.
It's a friendly competition driving innovation.
It's a good thing. Competition breeds progress.
Exactly.
And third, for those looking to get ahead of the curve, RWA is creating a wave of new jobs.
That's exciting.
It is. It's a chance to be part of something truly transformative.
And to create a more efficient, inclusive, and dynamic global economy.
Exactly. It's about building a better future.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation.
I've enjoyed it.
I have too. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And for our listeners, as always, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.
Keep exploring. The future is waiting.
It is. It really is.
Lots to discover out there.
That's for sure.
So let's get out there and make it happen.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before the break, we were talking about, all these new jobs RWA is creating.
Oh, yeah. Tons of opportunities.
Especially in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong's going to be a hotbed for RWA talent.
It sounds like, so let's break it down. Like, what are some specific job roles that RWA could generate in Hong Kong?
Okay.
And what skills would someone need to, to actually land these roles?
All right. Well, let's start with the tech side, the obvious one. Blockchain developers are going to be in high demand.
It makes sense. Building the infrastructure and all that.
Exactly. We're talking about the platforms, the smart contracts, the whole digital foundation that RWA relies on.
So anyone out there who's like a coding whiz and loves blockchain,
Hong Kong is calling your name.
pack your bags. Right.
Seriously, but it goes beyond just coding.
Okay, what else?
You need people who understand tokenization.
Right, turning those assets into digital tokens.
Exactly. How to represent them digitally, how to make sure they're secure, compliant with regulations.
That sounds like a pretty specialized skill set.
It is, and that's why it's so valuable.
Okay, so we've got the blockchain developers, the tokenization experts. What else?
Oh, and then you have smart contracts.
Right, the self-executing contracts on the blockchain.
Exactly, and you need people who can write those contracts, audit them, make sure they work flawlessly.
Because any error could be disastrous.
Oh, yeah. Huge financial consequences if a smart contract goes haywire.
So you need to be really good at what you're doing.
Like, really good.
Attention to detail is key.
Absolutely. Every line of code matters.
So it's like being a lawyer and a programmer all rolled into one.
It kind of is, yeah. You need that legal mindset combined with technical skills.
Okay, that's fascinating.
It is. It's a challenging but rewarding field.
So we've got the tech side covered. What about the analytical side?
Ah, yes. The number crunchers.
Data scientists, analysts?
Exactly. You need people who can dig into the data, understand the risks, and help investors make informed decisions.
Because RWA generates a ton of data, right?
Oh, yeah. Mountains of it. You need people who can sift through it all and find the insights.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about understanding the finance too.
It's a perfect blend of both worlds.
That's really interesting.
It is. It's what makes this field so dynamic.
Okay, so we've got the techies, the analysts, anyone else?
Oh, we can't forget about compliance.
Right, with all the new regulations and everything.
Compliance is going to be huge in the RWA space.
So lawyers are still in demand.
Oh, yeah. More than ever.
Okay, good to know.
They're the ones who can navigate that legal maze, make sure everything is above board.
So we've got the blockchain developers, the tokenization experts, the smart contract gurus, the data scientists, the analysts, the lawyers.
That's quite a lineup.
It is. It's a whole new ecosystem of jobs.
And we're just getting started.
Anyone else jumping into this RWA jobs pool?
Think about it. As more and more assets get tokenized,
Hmm.
You're going to need specialists who understand those specific asset classes,
Oh, I see what you mean.
like real estate experts who can evaluate tokenized properties,
Okay.
art historians who can verify the authenticity of digital art,
Makes sense.
sustainability consultants who can assess the environmental impact of RWA projects.
So it's not just about the tech itself.
Yep.
It's about taking those existing areas of expertise and applying them to this new digital world.
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap between traditional industries and this emerging RW ecosystem.
This is great for those breakpoints communities and BPDAO clients who are always thinking ahead.
Absolutely. It's a chance to upskill themselves, stay ahead of the curve.
And it's not just about the skills, right?
Nope. It's also about mindset.
Okay, what do you mean?
You need people who are curious, who are willing to learn and adapt, who are comfortable with ambiguity.
Comfortable with change.
Exactly, because the RWA world is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
There's no set playbook.
So you got to be comfortable not knowing everything.
You got to be okay with figuring things out as you go, being a pioneer.
That's exciting, though.
It is. It's a chance to shape the future.
To be at the forefront of this new financial frontier.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so appealing to so many people.
That sounds like it.
It's a chance to make a real impact.
Okay, so we've got this clear picture now of this potential job market emerging around RWA in Hong Kong.
Lots of opportunity.
It sounds like there's something for everyone.
There really is, from the tech savvy to the finance. Hong Kong wants
That's
to
great to hear.
attract
It is. It's an
businesses,
exciting time
investment,
to be
talent,
involved in this
Solidify
space.
their position as
So
a
let's
global
get back
leader.
to Hong Kong's
Exactly.
ambition
and
to become
China's
that
tech supply
financial
chain
hub.
wants easier
For China's
access
tech
to
supply
capital,
chain.
Right, we've talked about the
streamline
potential
operations,
benefits of
global
RWA.
reach.
And
Mhm.
RWA
But how
can
exactly
help
could
them
it help them
achieve this
this
goal?
It's the bridge
It's
that
all
connects
about
those
creating
two
that
worlds.
So
symbiotic
it's like a
relationship,
perfect
that
match.
win-win
It
situation.
is. It's a strategic
Okay,
alignment
I
of
like that.
interests.
Okay, I see that.
And Hong Kong already has a lot of the pieces in place.
Like what?
They have a strong financial infrastructure, a robust legal system, a reputation for being business-friendly.
So they've got the foundation,
They do, and then you add RWA to the mix.
and you've got something special.
You've got a recipe for a dynamic and innovative ecosystem that's tailored to the needs of the tech industry.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. It's a unique combination of factors.
Our source highlights this specific example of how RWA could transform supply chain finance.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Imagine a small tech startup in Shenzhen.
Okay.
They've developed this groundbreaking new component for electric vehicles.
Okay, so they're on the cutting edge.
Exactly. They're innovating, pushing the boundaries.
But they need funding,
They need funding to ramp up production, to get their product to market.
and traditional financing is too slow.
Too slow, too bureaucratic, not agile enough for a fast-moving startup.
So RWA comes to the rescue.
Exactly. They could tokenize their inventory
Okay,
or even future purchase orders
interesting.
and then issue security tokens representing those assets.
So instead of going to a bank and waiting for loan approvals,
They can raise capital directly from investors.
who are excited about their product.
Exactly. Investors who believe in the potential of this new EV component.
And these tokens could be traded on a regulated platform in Hong Kong.
Attracting global investors who are looking for exposure to the EV market?
So it's a much more efficient way to connect investors with businesses.
It is. It streamlines the process, reduces friction, and increases transparency.
And because it's all on the blockchain.
Investors have more confidence. They can see where their money is going, how it's being used.
This is really impressive stuff.
It is. It's a game changer for supply chain finance.
It sounds like it. So RWA has the potential to really transform this whole sector.
Absolutely. It's about creating a more efficient, transparent, and accessible system.
It benefits everyone.
Exactly. Businesses, investors, the entire ecosystem.
This all sounds very promising, but let's not forget about the challenges.
Right. No technology is a silver bullet.
Our source mentions some potential roadblocks.
Things that could hinder the adoption of RWA.
Like what kind of things?
Well, one challenge is regulatory harmonization.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Singapore and Hong Kong are both developing clear frameworks for RWA.
Right, we talked about that earlier.
But there needs to be more collaboration on a global level.
To ensure consistency?
Exactly, to make sure that these different frameworks can work together seamlessly.
So it's not enough for individual countries or regions to embrace RWA.
It needs to be a coordinated effort.
Otherwise, you get these fragmented markets.
Exactly, and that could slow down the growth of the entire RWA ecosystem.
I see, that makes sense.
Another challenge is cybersecurity.
Right, with everything moving onto the blockchain,
The stakes are higher.
because there's more to lose.
Exactly, and hackers are always looking for vulnerabilities.
So security is paramount.
Absolutely. We need robust cybersecurity measures to protect investors and maintain trust in the system.
Okay, so regulatory harmonization, cybersecurity, anything else?
The other big challenge is talent.
Right, finding people with the right skills.
We've talked about all these new jobs that RWA is creating,
Right.
but finding qualified people to fill those roles is going to be tough.
So it's a race to upskill the workforce.
Exactly, and attract global talent.
So Hong Kong needs to make itself an attractive destination for these professionals.
Absolutely. They need to invest in education, training, create a welcoming environment.
So it's a multi-pronged challenge.
It is, but if they can get it right.
The rewards are huge.
Exactly. It's a chance to be at the forefront of this financial revolution.
It's an exciting time to be in Hong Kong.
It is. There's a real sense of momentum, of possibility.
I can feel it even from here.
It's palpable. The energy is contagious.
So it sounds like Hong Kong has its work cut out for it.
They do, but they're up for the challenge.
I believe it.
They have the vision, the resources, and the determination.
And RWA could be the key.
It could be the catalyst that unlocks their full potential.
It's an incredible story.
It is, and we're just at the beginning.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me neither. The future is bright for RWA and for Hong Kong.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've spent this episode unpacking, the ins and outs of real-world assets.
RWAs.
RWAs, yeah.
Mm.
Especially how they're shaking things up in Singapore and Hong Kong.
It's a really exciting time to be watching this space.
It is. And this deep dive, though, it's been super relevant for our listeners in the Breakpoints communities
Absolutely.
and for our BPDAO clients.
For sure.
But before we wrap things up, I wanted to touch on one more thing that our source brought up.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Sustainability.
Ah, sustainability, yes.
We talked a bit about green finance earlier.
I did.
But can you kind of elaborate on that?
Sure. Happy to.
Like, how can RWA actually contribute to a more sustainable future?
Okay, so one of the biggest things is unlocking capital for green projects.
Green projects like what?
Think renewable energy, sustainable infrastructure, even conservation efforts.
Okay, I see.
These projects often struggle to get traditional funding.
Because they're seen as risky.
Yeah, risky, or they have longer payback periods.
Makes sense. Traditional investors might shy away from that.
Exactly. But with RWA, you can tokenize these projects.
Tokenize them.
Yeah, so you're essentially representing their future value as digital assets that can be traded.
Okay, I'm following you.
And this opens up a whole new avenue for investment, attracting people who are specifically looking for sustainable opportunities.
So it's like connecting those who want to make a positive impact with projects that need funding to make that impact happen.
Precisely. It's a perfect match.
And because everything is tracked on the blockchain.
Right. Transparency is key.
There's that accountability, right?
Right.
Investors can actually see where their money is going and how it's being used to create positive change.
Exactly. It's not just a black box.
That's got to be a powerful incentive for people who want their investments to align with their values.
It is. People want to know that they're making a difference.
And this transparency, it can help combat greenwashing, right?
Absolutely. Companies can't just make empty claims about their sustainability practices anymore.
Because it's all right there on the blockchain.
The data is verifiable. It's immutable.
So it's not just about feeling good about your investments.
Nope.
It's about knowing that they're actually contributing to a more sustainable future.
It's about putting your money where your mouth is, backing up your claims with real action.
I like that. So that's one way that RWA can contribute to sustainability.
It is, but it's not the only way.
What else is there?
Well, RWA can also be used to create more efficient carbon markets.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So you can tokenize carbon credits
Mm-hmm.
and make them easier to trade.
So it incentivizes companies to reduce their emissions.
Exactly, because they can monetize those reductions more easily.
It's like a market-based solution to climate change.
It is. It's about using economic incentives to drive positive environmental outcomes.
This is really fascinating stuff.
It is. RWA has the potential to be a game changer in the fight against climate change.
It does sound like it, but are there any potential downsides?
Of course, with any new technology, there are always things to consider.
Like what?
Well, one concern is equity.
Equity.
Yeah, making sure that the benefits of these RWA-funded sustainable projects are distributed fairly.
So that the communities most affected by climate change actually benefit.
Exactly. We don't want this to just become another way for wealthy investors to profit.
It needs to be about empowering those who need it most.
Precisely. It's about creating a more just and sustainable future for everyone.
Okay, that makes sense.
And another thing is ensuring that the underlying projects are actually sustainable.
Right. You don't want companies using RWA to greenwash their operations.
Exactly. We need strong standards and verification processes.
To make sure that RWA is actually being used for good.
It's about holding everyone accountable.
So it sounds like responsible implementation is key,
It is. It's about using RWA thoughtfully and ethically.
not just rushing in blindly.
Exactly. We need to be mindful of the potential risks as well as the benefits.
This has been a really insightful conversation.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too. We've covered so much ground today.
We have, from the basics of RWA to its potential to reshape the financial system and even contribute to a more sustainable future.
It's been a whirlwind tour of the RWA landscape.
It has, but I think it's important to have these conversations.
Absolutely, to stay informed and engaged.
Exactly. The RWA world is constantly evolving, so we need to keep learning and adapting.
And for our listeners out there,
Especially those in the breakpoints communities and our BPDAO clients.
what's the one key takeaway you want them to leave with?
RWA is more than just a technology, it's a catalyst for change.
I like that.
It has the potential to not only transform the financial system, but also to help us address some of the biggest challenges facing our world.
Like climate change.
Exactly, and that's what makes this space so exciting.
It is. It's full of possibilities.
It is, and for those who are willing to embrace the change and the challenges.
There are incredible opportunities out there.
Absolutely. The future of finance is being written right now, and RWA is at the forefront of that revolution.
That's inspiring stuff.
It is. It's a chance to be part of something truly groundbreaking.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And for our listeners, as always, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.